as a brother. Yo, the same way that I said earlier, like a demon is trying to kill you, a demon could also put a seed in your mind to keep you from your brothers. You know what I'm saying? To isolate you. To you know what I'm saying? Even that spirit of depression that like the sister was talking about, like like a demon comes in your mind and says, "Be alone, be alone, be alone," and then once you're alone, now it says you're alone, you're alone, you're alone. Like that's divide and conquer. You know what I'm saying? So now you might need some time to grow or to find the place, but I definitely agree with the sister. You know what I'm saying? That Clubhouse is not a congregation. It's too convenient. Because and the last thing I'm gonna say is because the people in my congregation, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta actually share pain with each other. If a brother can't pay his rent, it's my responsibility too, because we in this together. If a brother's car goes down and he's in my zone, bearing a burden is his problem, is my problem, and brotherhood is a weapon. And now it's easier because there's more of us that come together. So we have to come together to survive this oppression, bro.
Yeah,
Hey, Cap,
go ahead.
hey, Concrete, let me ask Cap a
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
Hey, hey, Cap, how many disciples did Christ have?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How many disciples did Christ have?
I mean, I guess it depends on what point in time. You know what I'm saying? Because you have the 12, which were the highest rank, but then you had times where it was, hundreds following him. You had times where
All
he
right,
fed thousands. So it would
now this is my,
depend on what time.
all right, now this is my question for you. Now, with all those disciples was not in the same area, was not congregate with all everybody at the same time. So would they still be considered to be in the truth?
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is the difference, though. They all reported to the same body. Like even Paul, when he would be done traveling, he would come back and report to the elders. And then even the correspondence letters that Paul wrote, they were checking in and back with him, and that's why he was responding to whoever was in charge, saying, "I heard this, I heard that. Tell them this," because they were well organized. They
Right.
weren't separated. They weren't divided. They were one body, one mind, one faith, one baptism.
But Paul wasn't part. Now, this is the thing I was trying to ask you. But Paul was not part of the. Now, if we consider the 12 in Christ to be hypothetically a camp, Paul was not part of that camp. Paul was doing. Paul was just like a, like you say, he would report. He would report to them, and they would go over certain things. But Paul was not part of that camp. Paul was not part of the 12.
Okay,
So
well,
how
oh,
so
go
how
ahead. I'm
would you
sorry.
consider, according to your logic and the way you was talking about being brotherhood and fellowship? I understand. I agree with you. But if I use the example of Paul, Paul did not follow the 12, and Paul did not was not in that 12, and like as if you would be with a camp, and that's how the camps the blueprint for the cancer will be like Christ and the 12, that teacher, the leader, and then you got your 12, and then you got the ranking system. But Paul was not part of that. Paul was like
Okay.
kind of that end of what you would call that individual that was going out. But even though he was not directly but indirectly part of the 12, but he still was that individual, but he still kept what Christ taught him, kept what the law was saying, and he still did what he's supposed to have do according to the rules of the body, and things of that nature. So that's why I'm saying I'm trying to figure out. So that's why I asked you. I'm gonna pose the question again. Like if I'm by myself, but I'm doing according to the will of God, the will of the Most High, and what the law say do, as like Paul was doing, is I'm wrong. Would I be judged unfairly because I'm doing this?
Brother, here's what I'm gonna tell you. To me, you're gambling with your life, and if you wanna gamble with your life, Lord be with you. But I think you have you got a lot of background. But if you what do you call it? Like as far as what you were saying about Paul, I think you have a major misconception. Paul never separated himself from them. Matter of fact, he included himself among them and said, "I am the least of them," which meant that he was together with them. Same thing. If what you're saying is true, then in Galatians, he never went and would have communed with Peter. He never would have went back and checked in with him. He never would have came back and then gave his reports to James, because they were a part of the same body. I'll give you a modern day example. I'm in charge of Boston. And when I go to Boston, I do work out there. And when I come back, I report to either my captain or my general. The captain I report to is Captain Zaryak. The general I report to is General Kathumgabar. And I go and give in accordance of everything that I do. I get my marching orders and then I go back out, because we are one body, one faith, one baptism. We teach the same thing no matter where. And even though Boston is the camp I'm over, I don't consider that my camp. And what I mean by that is, my camp is the camp that I came up with. That's Captain Zarya, Captain Shamawa Allah, myself, Captain Zakar, and I'll say Officer Koraya Allah. You know what I'm saying? I guess he's the baby brother of it. You know what I'm saying? And those brothers are my camp. Why? Because that's where I cut my teeth. That's who I labored with directly. But as we've grown in this, Shamawa is over Queens. Zakar's over the Bronx. Captain Zaryak has damn near the eastern seaboard. You know what I'm saying? I have New England. And we all report to the same place. So for you to turn around and say things like Paul was an individual, no, he wasn't. Paul went back and reported to the heads of the body at that time. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, who was left in charge when Christ was absent? Peter. Peter is the rock upon I build my foundation. And after him, it was James, and so on and so forth. So I think you have a major misconception as to how the body of Christ is organized.
No, listen, I can go what you just said. Like, but I'm just saying, like, you know how only why I say what I say because you times was different versus now. But Paul will come back. Like, I know you're not taking years to report back to the body and what's going on and everything like that. Paul was
I,
taking years,
I'm
and then
also not traveling by horse, and you know,
I hope not, bro.
you know, and we have, and we're on Clubhouse right now. We have FaceTime.
Right. That's why I say it's a big difference. Like, yeah, you right. I mean, the traveling time, okay, I get that, but like I said, and then the things that and nobody not saying I'm not gonna never join a camp, right, Cap? So the things that I told you I was once in Israelite Church of God of Jesus Christ, right? And the things that was going on at that time frame when I was in that camp, uh, kind of deterred me from. I know I understand what you're saying, but it deterred me from camps. There was a lot of things, and this was before all these camps was forming, but it was still a lot of discord amongst Israel at the time about how camps was just forming up, and they was trying to get people in there, so they would downgrade this camp, and one camp would downgrade another to get more people in their camp. So I was like, man, look, I'm not dealing with all this nonsense. I'm gonna just stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was too much. It was too much. And then I don't want to be that one guy. Like, I'm going to this one camp, and then I don't like what they saying to me in this camp. Now I'm gonna just jump from this camp. I don't. Oh yeah, y'all want to march at 12 o'clock in the afternoon? I don't like that. Now I'm leaving this camp and go to another camp. Then that get frowned upon too. When you jumping from one camp to another, that get frowned upon. So it's like you're not at a win-win situation, because if you stay away from a camp, you be considered an individualite. But you then, and when you jump from camp to camp, now you're a camp. Now you're a camp jumper. You're a camp jumper, and you can't stay in one camp. So they look at you in a bad way like that. So it's like you're not going to win either way.
Well, if that's how you feel, brother, I mean, I personally know brothers who have come from other organizations and religious backgrounds, and we don't frown upon it. We welcome them like a brother. If they're gonna come here, if they're gonna serve the Lord, if they're gonna be loyal, I don't really care the way you came from. We got brothers who come from gangs, brothers that come from Islam, brothers that come from Christianity, brothers that came from IUIC, and y'all know I hate IUIC. You know what I'm saying? Not the individuals, but I'm talking about just the organization and the acts that they've done, that I look at them as false prophets, and say that publicly. I don't care who got a issue with it. Same way I speak against the church, or the same way I speak against, you know what I'm saying, any, government or philosophy that I disagree with. So, but I mean, that's up to you, bro. What I would say is, man, it sounds like they did a number on you, and that's why I say like it could be a stumbling block, and that's why people who are stumbling blocks in Israel, the Lord is gonna hold them accountable. You know what I'm saying? Because of the struggle that you have to be able to get back with your brothers. So I mean, Lord be with you. I'm just you're just asking questions, and I'm just answering them. You know what I'm saying? People use two things to say anti-brotherhood things to me. One, um, being a man pleaser. That's an anti-brotherhood statement that
Nah, I
somebody
ain't doing
tries
that.
to make when you turn around, and because we have a military rank structure and we say con out of one con or whatever the case may be. The second thing is when they say, "Hey, Captain Chaataza, you wouldn't be shit without your brothers." And you know what? And I am not shit without my brothers. I ain't shit without my people. And we are never going to be shit as a nation if we don't come together. So, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to be an individual. Me, I do not. I want to be a monolith. I want to be strong as a nation. I want to be one mind, one body, one faith, one baptism, like the scriptures say. And anybody who tries to plant that seed of dissension, who tries to be divisive like that, they are anti brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? So I try to be pro brotherhood, and that's why we invite everybody to come to the Passover, April 1st. It's going down, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hey, Cat, I'm gonna take them words in consideration, bro. And like I say, I'm not saying I'm not gonna never be part of a camp, but it's it's things that I'm working on, and when I do become part of that camp, I want to be right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, when I say right, I'm not meaning far as not learning. I mean, not knowing what I already know. But when I'm just saying I want to do things right, I want to make sure that I'm gonna dedicate myself and not be and not trying to be going one foot in the door and one foot out the door. I don't want to go into it like that. I want to be, 100%, 110% going in.
Nah, I get it. I get it. And brother, trust and believe. You know what I'm saying? Like when I found the UPK, and I heard, and these brothers was like, "We're the home of the truth." I was like, "Yeah, nigga, we gonna see about that." You know what I'm saying? So like I came in here damn near trying to disprove it and to find fault and to find error, and I couldn't. So at that point, I had to start looking at the errors within myself, and then I started to change, and then you know what I'm saying. It made me better. So it's like I completely understand because what do they say? No, nobody's gonna piss on my head and say it's rain. You know what I'm saying? You're not about to tell me X Y Z. You're gonna have to prove it. You ask Captain Zaryat, I would ride with him to Philly, and we'd be in the car 2 hours. And I would be hammering him with questions, and he couldn't paraphrase nothing. I need book, chapter, verse right now. Let's go. Show me. And he would show me book, chapter, and verse. Okay, next. Okay, next. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Let's keep going. Let's go dive a little deeper. You got another one? And and he would deal with every one of my questions. And as hard headed as I was, you know what I'm saying. And that's why me and him built such a strong bond. You know what I'm saying? Because we have like a mutual respect for each other. You know what I'm saying? So I would just say, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it because like when you serve the Lord, it's a lifetime commitment, and who wants to dedicate that much of their life to something that's going to be a fallacy?